Thank you. Well, you know, all my life I've been a frustrated musician. I suppose having my book grafted on to Keith's is the best I can do. Made me sound more interesting and him sound more sane. First, I'm honored to be here tonight. And I'd like to thank all the people who are responsible for giving the Mailer Prize in Biography for honoring my friend, and who knew, not only one of the greatest guitarists in the history of American music, but a heck of a good writer, who told us the truth about the Rolling Stones and gave us some insight about why they became the longest lasting rock and roll band in history, as well as, by their own admission, the greatest. And who told us about an era and also told his own story. Norman Mailer, I believe, would have been jealous of me tonight. He would like to have spent the evening with Keith Richards. I was very honored when I was asked to do this for another reason. My 92-year-old mother-in-law, the last surviving member of that generation of our family, died a few days ago. She was very important to Hillary and to our daughter and to me. But we weren't nearly as important to her as Keith Richards. Do you have any idea what it's like to have a 92-year-old groupie living in your house? A woman who lived and breathed for the Rolling Stones. 5 years ago at the Beacon Theater, and Martin Scorsese was doing his film on the Stones, they were kind enough to give me some of the seats on one night so we could raise some money for my foundation. My mother-in-law shows up early, stands in line, patiently waits to faint in front of Richards. A few months ago, we go down to the Turks in Caicos to stay with our friend, Donna Karen. Keith lives a couple of blocks away. Says, sure, he'll come by and say hi to Dorothy. She gets a whole different set of clothes on. We're in the Caribbean, for God's sakes. And he comes and spends an hour with her, kisses her hello, kisses her goodbye. What am I, chopped liver? It was beautiful. He gives her an autographed copy of the book. She had already bought one on her own. She had already read it. I said, Dorothy, what'd you think? She said, I always did like those bad boys. Why am I saying all this? Because there's a reason life is a great book. I don't want to quote from life. I want to quote from what I thought was a brilliant review that about a year ago Michiko Katatani wrote in the New York Times. Just one sentence. Keith Richards is not only the heart and soul of the world's greatest rock and roll band, he's also the very avatar of rebellion. The desperado, the buccaneer, the sole survivor and main offender, the torn and frayed outlaw, and the coolest dude on the planet. Named both number one on the rock stars most likely to die list, and the one life form besides the cockroach capable of surviving nuclear war. If you haven't read this book, I'm telling you, you need to read it. And so I want to just mention one thing. I was in politics for a long time, and half the people I met thought I was, by definition, a phony if I did that. This is a brilliant statement which will give you some clue of how breathtakingly honest and clear this entire book is. I can't untie the threads of how much I played up to the part that was written for me. I mean, the skull ring and the broken tooth and the cold. Is it half and half? I think in a way your persona, your image as it used to be known, is like a ball and chain. People think I'm still a goddamn junkie. It's 30 years since I gave up the dope. Image is like a long shadow. Even when the sun goes down, you can see it. He's a good guy. He's a brilliant musician. He has had an unlikely life. If you read 10 pages of this book, you won't be able to put it down. And you will understand once again, most people who really do something special did it because of what they had inside. And turns out it wasn't an accident after all. Thank you for honoring my great friend. Keith, come on up.